Wake up, America. It's time to talk about dairy on this next episode of Digest This.
Welcome to Digest This, the show that helps you revolutionize your digestive health. Here are your hosts, Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato.
Hello and welcome to Digest This. I'm Dr. Liz Cruz and I've got Tina Nunziato sitting right here by my side. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're a regular listener, thank you. We love you and we appreciate that you take the time to hang out with us every week. And if you're a new listener, welcome. And check us out. We've got hundreds, I can now say hundreds of episodes in our podcast library.
We're getting close to our 250th video on YouTube.
Oh, all
which is
right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so let's talk about dairy.
Yeah, I looked back. So we've got this Wake Up America series where we try to take a topic and tell people about it so that they can wake up and learn about what they're putting in their body. And I went back to look at the last time you and I podcasted on dairy. Guess when it was?
When?
2014.
Come on, 2014.
2014 was the last time we talked about dairy.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, 12 years ago?
Yeah, and I've had a couple consults recently, and dairy has been brought up, and I thought, it's time to talk about dairy.
Yeah,
again.
yeah. I think it's a great topic.
Yeah.
It's a very good topic. It's something that we counsel patients and clients on a lot.
Yeah.
So, dairy. What's wrong with dairy? That's what our 20-year-old son would say.
Yes.
In fact, when he came back from college, he made it very clear to us that even though we have almond milk at home, he now is back to drinking his cow's milk.
Yes. And actually, to tell that story, so we actually took him off of dairy. He was actually the reason why we learned about dairy over 18 years ago, because from the time he was born, I think from the time he was like 2 until the time he was like 4, he must have had like 6 bouts of strep.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, look, we really, and then he's being put on antibiotics, and which was not good. And she said, we really need to take his tonsils out. So they ended up removing his tonsils and his adenoids when he was 4 years old, if I recall. And he still got strep after that. And we were like beside ourselves. And this was around the time where we were kind of on our journey doing some of this stuff. And we decided that we were going to take him off of dairy to see if that would help, because he was drinking a lot of dairy at the time. He's a huge milk drinker. And we cut that off, and all of a sudden he was better. And that was just our first test case. And then since then, obviously, it's been 18 years that we've been counseling patients, especially those with digestive issues that are struggling, can't figure out what might be going on. I challenge them. I'm like, try to come off of dairy and see how you feel. People with a lot of allergies, for example, try to come off of dairy, see how you feel. When we do our food sensitivity testing, 9 times out of 10, dairy comes back high for people, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So in general, even if somebody doesn't want to do a food sensitivity test or they can't afford a food sensitivity test, I tell them, come off of dairy, see how you feel. And I will tell you, a majority of those people feel 100% better.
I believe it.
When they come off of dairy.
believe it.
So, a lot of times when I'm doing a consult with someone and I challenge them with that and they push back on me, I'm like, look, I'm just going off of 18 years of experience here of asking people to try it.
Sure.
And if a majority of those people feel better, just think about trying it out. But it's tough because, the dairy associations will tell you that we need dairy.
Very much so. Well, growing up, we were in the era where there were posters in the classrooms, get your dairy, drink your milk. And we drank a ton of milk. Mom would buy us gallons of milk. And, I remember she would buy it on the weekend, and midweek we were stopping to get another gallon or 2. I mean, you guys drink a lot of milk too.
Drink a lot of milk. Your mom was all proud of you if you drank a ton of milk, and we started with our family, right? So
exactly.
And the posters are still there in the schools. The poster everywhere. It'll tell you drink your milk, eat your cheese. That these are the things that we need to build calcium in the body and to help with your bones. And that's the message that they put out. And so dairy becomes something that people seek. Dairy tastes good. There's a lot of fun dairy things that are out there to eat. And so people want to eat dairy, but it's wreaking havoc on our digestive systems. And so we just wanted to talk a little bit about that and what dairy does in the body.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one of the biggest things with dairy that probably most people are familiar with is the whole issue with being lactose intolerant. So what exactly does that mean? So milk has a sugar called lactose, okay? And that sugar has to be broken down by an enzyme that we have, and that enzyme is called lactase, okay? Well, over time, our production of enzyme goes down. And we've talked before about how production of enzyme goes down as we get older. There's a lot of things that go down as we get older. So lactase is one of them. And so what ends up happening is as people are drinking milk, for example, they may start experiencing different symptoms. And it's possible that they could have gone for years, decades, not having any issues. Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to have issues. And it could vary. It could be abdominal pain, cramping, nausea, vomiting, bloating, even diarrhea. Gas.
For
a
me,
lot of
it
gas.
was gas.
Yeah.
Like I became lactose intolerant when I was very young, probably in my early 20s. And they equated it to the fact that I drank a lot of milk growing up. So it's almost like you kind of run out of the enzyme if you consumed a lot of dairy when you were young.
Yeah, so that is a big thing. Yogurt and cheeses, by the time they've gone through their process, especially like an aged cheese, doesn't have as much lactose. And the same with yogurt, once it goes through the fermentation process, doesn't have as much lactose. So it's possible that people may be able to tolerate yogurt or cheeses, like certain aged cheeses. And that's typically the reason, is because there's not as much lactose. But in general, if somebody tells us, like Tina was talking, I mean, if I have a patient that tells me just having a lot of issues with bloating and gas and abdominal discomfort, and let's say I've already done a workup, I've done an endoscopy and colonoscopy or whatever testing needed to be done, and we've ruled out all the bad stuff, telling them to go dairy-free is really the way to go next, just eliminating it. You could probably do some fancy tests, but ultimately the biggest and most important thing is just to have someone eliminate whatever we think is triggering them. So in this case, we're talking about dairy. So eliminate the dairy.
Yeah, and some people will then drink Lactaid.
Yes.
Thinking that, this doesn't have lactose in it, so I'm good. It's still dairy.
Yeah.
And so the nice thing about not eating dairy these days is that they make so many alternative foods that are dairy-based foods, but they make them from other milks, like almond milk, coconut milk, cashew nut milk. So,
and even the cheeses.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
People specifically, they really love cheese, and they tell me, like, I don't want to stop eating my cheese. Well, then buy a cheese that's made from almond milk or cashew nut milk. There's butters, there's sour creams, there's ice creams, all these things that you would normally purchase that are loaded with dairy. You can buy healthier alternatives to those things made from non-dairy. So it's possible to survive in the world today without eating cow's milk based dairy products. But can we just talk to, you mentioned, the issue with lactose intolerance. Just talk about kind of some of the things that are happening in the body when we eat or drink dairy.
Okay, so milk is irritating. Okay, milk is irritating to the lining, to the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract. When somebody drinks some milk, a glass of milk, a lot of times you might get some formation of mucus. And that's basically your intestine's way of protecting itself, okay? It's normal for the intestine to make mucus. The lining makes mucus, and it's one of the ways in which it protects the lining. But when you put food and drink into you that irritates it, one of the ways that we react is in forming extra mucus, phlegm. And that's why they say anyone who's going to be singing should not drink milk or have anything dairy right before they're going to go on stage to sing. Yeah. Because they're basically going to have a ton of phlegm and mucus in the back of their throat. But other things with dairy, milk, for example, regular milk has a lot of fat in it. All right. And that fat in itself, when it gets into the stomach, can slow down the movement of the stomach. And some people will say, when I have heartburn, I drink some milk and it soothes it. And it may temporarily soothe it. But now that you have that fat in your stomach from the milk, it slows down the stomach. It causes more acid to be made, and now you're having more issues.
Right, it revs it up.
Exactly.
So where the milk may coat temporarily to soothe and cool, it's actually causing more problems.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Milk also has protein in it. Okay, you have whey and casein, and those two proteins can also cause issues. There may be people who have allergies or sensitivities, and you spoke to the whole thing with sensitivity testing and finding a lot of patients who have sensitivity to dairy.
Right.
That report details the
It
proteins.
it pulls out the whey, it pulls out the casein.
Okay.
And again, most of the time, if their general dairy like milk is high, then whey and casein are also high.
Okay.
And so the other thing is people don't think about their protein powders
Right.
that they're using because, again, a lot of protein powders are made with whey. So, I'm trying to encourage people to consider more plant-based protein powders made from like peas, so pea-based protein powders, things like that, instead of whey.
Sure.
For that specific reason.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And those are great points. So those proteins can cause issues also. So let's say milk, you're able to get it down and you're able to digest it, as far as breaking down the lactose and everything. The other thing that can happen also as milk moves down into the intestine, into the small intestine, is the way that the bacteria interact with the milk. Okay, that in itself could be an issue where now somebody's really experiencing, again, abdominal pain and gas, bloating, and just not feeling well. So those are a few ways as far as how milk affects us and what it can cause and why we may be experiencing some of these symptoms. And you've had a full workup by the gastroenterologist and they said, no, everything is good. And everything may be good, but you're still having issues.
Yeah.
And so this could be an issue. And the easiest thing to do is eliminate it.
We dare you. Sometimes I just have to dare people.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you, try it for 30 days, see how you feel. You're going to be amazed. And it's just something so simple.
Yes, it is.
Again, so simple, yet
Yeah.
makes such a huge difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, we have had a lot of clients, a lot of patients who have come back after eliminating dairy for a month or 2 months, and they're just feeling so much better.
yeah.
So I mean, they're missing their dairy, but they're feeling better. So
Yeah, and they're just, most people just swap. They'll do almond milk ice cream or coconut milk ice cream. They'll do a butter made from olive oil. They'll do cheeses made from cashew nut milk or sour creams made from cashew nut milk. So there's just so many alternatives today.
There are.
And you really don't have to go without. It's just about switching.
That's right.
What you're eating and just reading food labels and just being really conscious about what you're putting in your body.
And those cheeses are really good. Tina's bought these alternative milk cheeses for years and years, and we'll make a grilled cheese sandwich with that cheese, and it's so
Tastes the
good. It
same.
tastes the same.
Yeah. We'll put shredded cheese on our tacos, rice milk cheese. That's awesome for tacos. So there's so many different alternatives.
And I recently made a lasagna with an alternative mozzarella cheese.
That's right.
And and actually I took half of the lasagna and put regular dairy mozzarella, and then on the other half I put the alternative. And you could tell which side had which cheese on it
Just by the way it melts.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it
It's
still
good.
tasted fine.
It was
It tasted good. So
Yeah.
anyway, just think about it. If you're struggling, you've had your workup, everything came back negative, you're a big dairy eater, consider minimizing or completely cutting it out and see how you feel.
I agree.
So one of the things that you can do to help with digesting, if you are lactose intolerant, it is a clear indication that you're having enzyme issues. Okay. So the commercial today is going to be for the digestive enzymes, because these end up becoming miracle workers for so many people that are having issues with dairy. We do have several people who take these so they can continue to eat their dairy. If you are those people out there that refuse to give up your dairy, at least get on the digestive enzymes with your meals. It'll help you digest that food so that you can benefit from what you're eating and hopefully eliminate those symptoms that you're having. So there
All
you
right.
go. That's our commercial on digestive enzymes.
So really quick, before we bring this to a close, I just wanted to mention about the liver, the lymphatic system. There has been some talk in conventional and alternative medicine circles about whether dairy can affect it negatively or not. And it is a little bit controversial. The thing is that if you do have sensitivity to dairy, an allergy sensitivity, it's going to cause inflammation in your body. Okay. And by causing inflammation, it will rev up the lymphatic system, okay? Because that's what the lymphatic system is there for, to help, clean up the mess, clean up toxins. And so it's going to get revved up. Like when you have a cold, a sore throat, if you feel your lymph nodes, they get a little enlarged because they're getting revved up trying to fight something. You can have some inflammation that could cause that. That could cause some inflammation in the liver. But again, I just want to say that there is some controversy about that. But the bottom line is that dairy in itself is not a completely benign food or beverage, okay? And you have to consider that. And if you drink several glasses of milk a day and you're walking around with a ton of phlegm and mucus in your throat when you talk and you have to constantly clear your throat, consider that it could be dairy. Okay, just consider it. That's all we're saying. We're just here to just put some information out and give you some food for thought.
Yeah, and there are a lot of other things you can do to get protein and to get calcium.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is eat your greens and you're going to get enough calcium for your body. You don't need dairy for calcium and for your bones. Eating less meat can actually help with your bones. A lot of times if we have a very meat-heavy diet, that can be very acidic on the body and it could wreak havoc on the bones. So I always encourage people, if they're concerned about their bones, to try to eat less meat, eat more greens, and that will help.
I agree. 100%. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on our website, drlizcruz.com. There's a magenta color button on the homepage that you can click and schedule a free 30-minute wellness consult. And it's free. It's done over the phone, so you could do it from anywhere. If you haven't rated us, please rate us. Give us a 5. It'll help other people just like you to find us. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. And on our website, please subscribe to our newsletter. We put a newsletter out every 2 weeks with a lot of great information, and it's free. So please connect with us. There's a lot of different ways that we can connect, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato. To learn more about their revolutionary products and services, go online to www.drlizcruz.com.